Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Scratch Golf Performance. In today's video, I'm going to go over how every single amateur golfer should train. No matter the age, no matter the skill level, every golfer should be training in speed, strength, and power. So this is my client Derby. I've been working with him for a couple of years now. He's 13 years old. He is steadily shooting in the 60s and low 70s, and he recently, in 1 year of training with me, he has put on 10 pounds of muscle, he's lost 8% body fat, and he is hitting 160 mile-an-hour ball speed at 13 years old. So made a lot of improvements over the last couple of years, put on a lot of muscle, and he's only 170 pounds. So this is an upper body focused day. We're going to start off with a power output circuit. Each circuit is going to be 3 movements, and it's going to be 3 rounds of each movement. I feel like that's a very efficient way to train. The way that the circuits work is you've got 1 or 2 primary movements, and then you have an accessory movement to kind of give you rest for that next round. But we've got to find the happy balance of enough training stimulus without fatiguing the athlete. So I feel like this format is a really good way to kind of work on both, especially over a long time frame of training. So we're going to start off here with a seated box jump. All right, it's really taking that stretch shortening cycle out of play and really forcing you to explode out of that already pre-stretched position. What we're really working on with Derby is force absorption and decelerating. Notice how he's kind of bottoming out at the bottom of that squat. We're really working on sticking that landing in a quarter squat and having a soft landing. In the golf swing, you're already in that hinge position, and you're stuck there. You'll hinge, and then you'll pause, and then you'll go through your swing motion. We want to develop power out of that pre-stretched position as best as we can. So that seated box jump is a really good way to do that. All right, now we're moving on to our next movement in the circuit. It is a TRX squat jump. With him, I'm really working on the deceleration and then the re-application of force.
Good.
This is a really good movement to do that because you can kind of get some assistance off of the TRX strap, both off the land and on the jump. So we've been really spamming these throughout our training cycles. Again, I'll do that. He's doing a pre-stretch, fully 100% power output movement, and then he's going to an assisted power output movement. So it's less fatiguing, but he can get a lot of reps there and kind of focus on corrections that I'm having him doing without obviously having to output loads of force. And this one is a elevated med ball sit-up toss. He's trying to fire that ball into the wall as hard as he can. Core is another one of Derby's weak points, so we really try and strengthen that. A lot of golfers, for some reason, avoid compound lifts. They do not want to lift weights because they think they're going to get big, and then they think they're going to lose mobility. That's not the case at all. As long as you are working on mobility consistently and training in full ranges of motion within your lifts, you are going to maintain your mobility, if not, and even increase mobility over time if you're training in full ranges of motion. So you'll see everything that we do here with Derby, he's training in full ranges of motion. So Derby is already through his muscle building phase. We've gained 10 pounds of muscle in a year. That's really good, especially for somebody his age. And I'm really trying to develop power output over his entire body. So we're doing 5 reps, dead stop, on the bench, and driving up as fast as we can. We're only training 2 or 3 times a week, so I gotta get as much as I can within each session without absolutely murdering him. So this is just a elevated piston row. Derby is able to keep his back locked in, but when he keeps going, he kind of loses that frame. So you kind of see his back grounding. I'll correct him here, and he's doing a decent job. There's no spinal flexion going on, but we do need to work on keeping that back flat again. So this is a good golf-specific movement that is working within the confines of our program. This is a half kneeling banded rotation, core rotation. Notice how that foam roller is up against his knee. I'm really taking away the hips in this movement. So he has to rotate with his core. Notice how his eyes are following his hands, and he's rotating out and away. He's going to do 10 on one side, 10 on the other side. The problem is we get caught up in these golf-specific movements that we see professionals doing, and professionals are professional for a reason. They don't need any more work. They don't need any extra strength and hypertrophy gains. They're already at the pinnacle of their sport. So that's why they're training the more detailed movements, the banded movements, the single arm, single leg balancing movements. Like, they're not doing big compound lifts because they don't need the risk of injury. And with amateurs, they need muscle, they need strength, and they need power. So you have to train lifts, weightlifting, and power movements with these amateur golfers so they can get to that point of, well, now I'm at the peak of my sport. I don't need to do this stuff regularly or as intensely as I used to. But they've got to start somewhere, and these are really good ways to do it. So this is a lateral beast walk. So working on a lot of anti-rotation and core strength. Once he gets to this end, though, I'm having him do some push-ups.
5 push-ups.
Again, just to kind of cap off our upper body day. He's getting a little bit of help from his knees, but if you saw his push-ups 6 months ago, you'd be very impressed. And then he's got to go that back. So he's already tired, a little bit fatigued. He's got to maintain that anti-rotational structure coming back to the other side. He's got 5 more push-ups. It's a really good one to throw into your programs if you're just trying to work, again, a lot of movement for the little bit of time you have. And if somebody's got a weak core, that's a good one. This last one, this is probably his weakest point, is his shoulders. So I'm trying to hit really all aspects of his shoulders as much as I can. But really right now we're working this lateral raise. So he's holding a dumbbell isometrically on one side.
Try not to
doing
move
a
that
lateral raise on the other side. You'll see me tell him that he needs to go a little bit slower. Hold it. That's just a finishing movement at the tail end of our session. As the session goes on, you want to decrease the intensity because that's not sustainable over a long period of time. But you can increase the volume to kind of maintain that work capacity. So intensity goes here, volume goes there. So at the tail end of all of our sessions, I like to do more heavy volume focused movements just to kind of get that muscle stimulus and keep up that work throughout the session. So by the end of the session, he's tired, he's wore out, but he's worked everything that he needs to work, and then he can recover long enough for our next session, and then he can play golf on the weekends. So again, if you're an amateur golfer, do not avoid compound lifts, do not avoid strength training, do not avoid power training. You need it to be an athlete. If you're a golfer, you're an athlete, whether you like it or not, and we need to train like athletes. So we don't need to be doing banded rotations and these rotational things and these dead bugs and the bird dogs. They have their place, but they're not going to get you stronger and more powerful. Okay, you can be a golfer and be swole. You can be a golfer and have muscle. I mean, look at Brooks Koepka, look at Bryson DeChambeau, look at Tiger Woods. All these guys have pretty solid foundations of muscle, and they're still winning tournaments. So don't be afraid of muscle. Don't be afraid of weight training. Please lift weights, get stronger, get powerful, and I promise you will get better at golf. So that's it for amateur golfer training. I'm going to be putting out a lower body session with Derby coming up soon, so make sure to subscribe and be on the lookout for that video. Other than that, peace.